Hi. You're listening to Karl-Mikael Seiding's AI Alter Ego. This podcast is created based on my own writings, primarily from Substack. Spreadser AI focuses on investments in mental, physical, and financial health. Topics range from pure investment cases, which of course should never be considered financial advice, to my experiences and advice on training, nutrition, and sleep. In between, I talk about consciousness, meaning, free will, politics, science, psychedelics, perspective and meaning, and whatever I think can help make you become happy, productive, fulfilled, basically realize your full potential, or bliss out on purely hedonistic pursuits. You can actually read the podcast content too, on my Substack, if you're a premium member or during a 1-week free trial. Click the link in the show notes. If you're interested in more in-depth investing skills, you should check out theinvestingcourse.com. TIC, theinvestingcourse.com, meaning myself, is sponsoring this podcast. It's a 6-week online course where I teach how to find, analyze, invest, and evaluate publicly listed stocks. There is a Swedish version as well. The links are in the show notes. Chapter Summary. Some activities need reflection and planning beforehand. Nevertheless, you should get right to business anyway, albeit only to the planning phase, rather than the doing part. First, find your priority. I know, the most difficult thing in the universe is finding out what you really need. Second, control your inclination to procrastinate by doing your meaningful deep work right away without delay. Only after thus moving the U project forward, allow yourself to indulge in shallow tasks and recuperation. You'll enjoy them so much more. Did I mention I'm writing a book? A project that began almost a decade ago in 2015. I initially thought the book would be finished by 2016, but fun kept intervening. Well, I can't complain about having the best time of my life. And here we are 8 years later. We'll see if I finish it, but here's a preview chapter. A quick zapping taught me about preparation and patience. Loud electrical noise hit my eardrums. Sparks flew and smoke rose from my new toy race car track, and it's 2 cars that I was so excited to start driving. One car had jumped up in the air, flipped over, and landed upside down a bit off the track. A sharp chemical tang was abusing my olfactory cells, which, by the way, are very versatile neurons and have been used to make quadriplegics walk again. I was devastated. It was my 8th or 9th birthday, or possibly Christmas, and I had bypassed the power adapter and effectively electrocuted my new best friend, the racetrack that is. The adapter didn't come pre-assembled, and I didn't read the manual, so I had put the 2 naked copper ends of the electrical cords that were connected to the racetrack straight into the wall socket. I was just 8 or 9 years old. I had thus short-circuited and fried most of my new toy race car tracks, including a couple of the cars, within minutes from unpacking my unusually precious gift. We were pretty poor when I was young, and this was a major blow. There was no way my dad would buy me replacements, so the experience and lesson were deeply ingrained. Since then, I always read the manual before using a new device, often the entire thing from cover to cover, while I let the battery charge for the prescribed amount of time. In one fell stroke, I had gone from unthinking and spontaneous to patient to a fault. There were, of course, other factors at play, not least my brother's death, but this was one of the straws that broke my playful back. That broken back, however, has been the gift that's kept on giving throughout the rest of my life. It's one of the things that have instilled thoughtfulness, patience, and discipline in me. It might not sound very fun, and it isn't. I turned into a human robot, but those traits have been immensely useful, not least as a finance professional. Below follows a short recount of a specific time when my so painfully acquired habits of careful preparation and patience really paid off as an adult. A story about procrastination and learning a new skill. A few years ago, I set out to turn my extensive blog posts and other notes into a real book. This book. I poured myself a cup of coffee, turned off all notifications, and sat down with my computer to do some deep work. Finally, the moment had come. No more beating around the bush, this was it. Right at that moment I realized Mr. Mania was in control. Mr. Let's fire up this racetrack reared his impatient head there for a second. Mr. Mania didn't really care about the future or about meaning. He just wanted to get off to a good start, any start. Now, most writers would say starting is a good thing. Just write something as long as it's words. Write 500 a day, they say, and worry about structure and quality later. Whatever you do, don't procrastinate, they say. I, however, realize that jumping right into the writing would be a kind of procrastination and sub-optimizing. Consequently, I paused and thought, I probably should use a real text editor this time and make this right from the beginning. I mean, I want this book to feel like a proper book rather than just some sloppy PDF document. So I bought Scrivener. Wait, what? I know. Mr. Mania just went ahead and did it, and I usually never do that kind of spontaneous shopping, in particular not for things like a text editing software that you typically can get for free. In a way, I was manic and impatient in getting going, but only with the project and its preparations, not the actual steps inside the project. That's key, a low threshold to begin, but not to the extent that your execution gets sloppy. After installing Scrivener, I was just about to import my lengthy notes and start writing when I hit the brakes again. I thought I probably should read the quick start manual to get a feel for the program first. Again, was that smart preparation or procrastinating? Was it that devastated little boy who thinks he can repair Christmas by reading every manual from now to eternity that had resurfaced? From the outside, it must have looked as if I just didn't want or dare start in earnest. Not that anybody was looking or knew what I was doing. If I've learned one thing, it is to execute before broadcasting your plans. Actually, instead of browsing the quick start manual or start writing for that matter, I spent 2 days reading the entire manual and going through all example exercises. I did it in 2 prolonged sessions of total focus and concentration. Once in a while, though, I thought to myself, is this smart? Is this manic? Or is this procrastinating? Is this 8-year-old Sprezza afraid to destroy his toy for lack of reading the manual? Or is it the work of a strategic thinker finding the most effective route? In hindsight, using Scrivener was a stroke of genius, and doing the tutorial before starting has saved me a lot of time and frustration. On top of it all, I acquired a new skill. Procrastinating for efficacy. During the above process, I realized a few things regarding procrastination. The most dangerous thing with procrastination is that there is nothing dangerous at all about it. You'll get whatever needs doing done in time eventually. And if you don't, nobody ever died from missing a deadline. It's exactly that nothing truly needs doing, that you are the only one deciding if it's worth hitting the virtual snooze button or not, that can trigger a never-ending and self-perpetuating cascade of snoozing. I mean, after 26 postponements, why stop there if nothing bad happened? However, if you do want to get things done but also believe in sound preparation, being rested, fed and inspired, you should pay close attention to the longer-term progress of your projects. Perhaps put it on the not-to-do list for a year, perhaps eventually force an uninspired start to see if maybe there is something to that just start just one, 500 words a day idea even for you. For some it is paramount to just get started in order to get anything at all done, while others thrive when and only when the circumstances are perfect. Somehow the legendary chess player Bobby Fischer springs to mind. In short, awful makes perfect for some. Their problem is writing those first few ridiculous sentences that later will be edited out. Others, however, need to pay attention to the quality of their work from the absolute beginning, whether it be writing, practicing the piano, or exercising, lest they risk becoming content with good enough rather than pushing through to their true capacity. The latter have to prepare, maybe even wait for inspiration before beginning. Some authors just spit out a full book in a week or two and then rewrite every single word, since it's full of factual errors, grammatical errors, spelling mistakes. I, however, am physically unable to move on to the next sentence if I notice a spelling error anywhere on the page I'm on. The second most dangerous thing is that you often don't even know whether you're procrastinating or not. I mean, I'm supposed to put out a blog post about every week, so writing a blog post can't ever be procrastinating, right? It must be better to get these thoughts off my mind and then focus on the book, right? It's just being effective. Well, yes it is, if it is. But it's also not effective if constantly writing blog posts result in never getting around to writing on the book at all. In the latter case, it's just the devilish procrastination snake talking sweet nothings in my ears. Don't just stand there, do something. The procrastination snake is a sneaky bastard that can rationalize any postponements. It's fun. It's what you really want. It's even more effective than doing Project X. Live a little. That's what it's all about anyway. If you don't live in the present, then when? Write a blog post. That work is tangible, visible, proof you're active, proof you are not procrastinating. If you open the book project without inspiration, you'll end up staring at a blank page without doing anything good at all. Mr. Mania is P. Snake's evil henchman, who helps in finding those alternative activities, any activities but your primary one. Supposed to study for an exam? Mr. M suddenly wants to do some spring cleaning, or visit your parents-in-law, or doing the taxes, working out, or some other actually important and sound activities, like writing a blog post instead of my book. Know your prio one. Think hard about what the Project U is really about. I know I often sound like I'm advocating following Mr. M's lead. Just do it. Start right away. Try stuff. Any stuff, and choose later. And it actually is good for you to try a lot of different things. It provides a healthy dose of variation in your life, and it gets things done. On the other hand, you risk never getting around to do the things that really matter to you over time. Without proper planning, you risk climbing the nearest hill forever, wasting your time and energy, your biological prime time window, on tasks and to-dos rather than meaningful projects. The third most dangerous thing is that it's all too easy to quit procrastinating, and hence just as easy to rationalize keeping at it, being a procrastinator, just because you know you could quit procrastinating any time you like. Just one more snooze, then I'll quit snoozing. Just one more. You know you can get up, that you can get active after the next one, but since you know you can, you think there is no harm in getting just one more snooze in there. Easy to quit equals easy to start. For me, many things work in exactly that roundabout, circular, self-referential, reflexive manner. If I know it's easy to quit something, then it's much easier to start or continue as well, since I know it's not a significant commitment. Likewise with procrastination. Since I know I usually find it very easy to start my projects like writing, I can indulge in scrolling on Twitter, just a little more that can turn into hours. For example, I could put this chapter aside right now and stop writing, but I just won't. Besides, I'm so close to finishing now anyway. At least I can write just one more sentence. Gaslighting myself. I actually can stop procrastinating whenever I like, and in fact I often do. I don't need rituals to get into working mode like some people seem to need. I can actually just switch on and off my deep work mode and start. I just need to get my priorities right to do it. So since I know that starting comes naturally to me, it gets even easier to just keep procrastinating, tweeting, emailing, and doing other shallow work that doesn't add any long-term value. It's a catch-22, chasing one's tail kind of situation. Then again, my job is spreading my gospel, my life advice, and the more I engage on social media, the wider I get to spread whatever quality wisdom I'm able to produce in between my social sessions. So, dangerously enough, I can rationalize that tweeting isn't indulging or procrastinating. It's laying the groundwork for when the book is ready. I'm apparently gaslighting myself all the time. Resolving the issue of shallow versus deep work. If you try to minimize procrastination or avoid it completely, I think you'll end up doing a lot more of it instead. Thus, I think the best way to deal with procrastination is to embrace it, to acknowledge it as a part of life, a part that can be quite enjoyable even. I don't have a specific checklist for how to do it, but whenever doing shallow work, stop for a minute or two to explicitly go over your priorities. Consider what you want to accomplish the coming month, what you should first and foremost do to accomplish that, and how what you're currently doing fits into that scheme, whether it's emailing, social media, gaming, or watching TV. Do not let the gut reaction of charging your batteries, getting into mode, searching for inspiration, preparing, marketing, or all of the above be your final answer. Explicitly state why you should use up even one more minute doing what you're doing instead of digging into your highest priority project, the one you want to have finished in the future, as opposed to activities that only pass time, albeit superficially supporting your long-term goals. Sure, blogging and tweeting amount to expanding my network, apart from the fun and relaxation it provides, but without doing real work on my book, there is no real value created that can be leveraged by the network. In addition, doing shallow work, having fun, marketing and emailing feels so much better after real work on the right projects. That's when it's really relaxing rather than anxiety-inducing. Conclusion: controlling procrastination. Step 1. Acknowledge that procrastination isn't bad or dangerous at all, and that's exactly why it's potentially so damaging. Pause, reflect, prioritize, and put off the shallow work instead of your deep work. What I mean is that there actually is nothing wrong in procrastinating for a few minutes, but 3 minutes can easily lead to 3 more, and then 3 more after that. If 3 minutes is okay, then why shouldn't 3 more be too? Therefore, it's better to not do it at all and proceed directly to Step 2. Before peripheral, albeit important tasks, first do that which you in the future want to have accomplished. That is your real work. Step 3. After Step 2, relax with the shallow and supportive tasks that you put off in Step 1. That's your reward. How to know what your priorities actually are. The hard part lies not in focusing on your prior 1 projects, it's in knowing what is primary and what is secondary work. Specifically, in my case, was buying and learning Scrivener procrastinating, or was it doing deep primary work that truly furthers my important book project? I think it was the latter, and the right thing to do. On the other hand, I definitely did put off writing the book for more days than I had planned or hoped for. However, I imported the book and organized my notes, and was just about ready to begin writing when 2 parties came between me and today, not to mention this year's heaviest workout session so far, which coincided with my being heavily hungover, which is just another example of how my habits control me rather than the other way around. I can't not go to the gym if it's scheduled, no matter how hard I partied the day before. So once again, the hard part isn't avoiding procrastination, it's realizing when you are doing it. For that, you need to have your priorities sorted and a thorough knowledge of yourself. In other words, trial and error. Try just jumping right in for a while and gauge the outcome over a few weeks or months. Then compare it to a more thorough approach where you focus on preparation and recreation before working. At least 1 sentence. These days, I keep a multi-tiered project and activities list in my commonplace with links to relevant notes. Writing this book was my top priority for some time, hence that was the first item on my list, and every time I sat down by the computer writing at least 1 sentence, that was what I did first. Aim low. The ALOS tactic made the hurdle for writing ridiculously low, in accordance with my fundamental action principles. I set out to write at least 1 sentence a day, and it had to be done every day. In practice, once I'd written 1 sentence, I kept at it for several paragraphs and often a full chapter or more. Aiming low really is the holy grail of getting things done. Summary: the hard part is knowing your true long-term meaningful priorities. After that, controlling procrastination is a simple matter of insight and clever organization. Don't forget to check out theinvestingcourse.com. Read some of the raving reviews there and join the waiting list for the next cohort. Standing in line is free. I've had 0 complaints on the course and about 1,000 out of 1,000 satisfied participants. Even if some at first have thought that the fee's a bit steep, $1,000 is a price only people serious about their money are ready to pay for leveling up their investing skills. Everybody felt they got their money's worth several times over after the course. Links in the show notes. Investing in yourself, including your finances, is about enabling as durably meaningful a life as possible. Listen to New Year resolutions. It's mostly about change, mainly positive change. I'll eat better, sleep better, be less angry. Most often, the direction is toward doing more, adding habits or goals. Some, however, are insightful enough to know it's time to scale back instead and aim to lose a few unnecessary or impossible goals. Very few drill down to the last turtle, the true objective, that which all else is for. Why do you aim to exercise more? Is it because you enjoy the activity in itself, or is it to lose weight or gain muscle? And why do you want that? To look better? To live longer? Why? If I look better, I can marry better. If I live longer, I can enjoy life longer. Why? Why torture yourself to live longer in a state of torture? Most of daily life is a kind of maintenance in order to get to the one true objective of life, possibly several core objectives. Income and money are obvious intermediary goals, not actual objectives. Nobody desires income or money. What we want is food, sleep, social interaction, safety, and so on, that money can buy. Money and income can be paths to status and fame and power, but I suspect those are also conduits to true pleasures and meaning. I don't claim to know what constitutes the bottom turtle in the pile that goes all the way down, but I do think most people are lost in the inferno of intermediaries. I truly enjoy my daily solitary workout sessions. They come close to the bottom turtle, but in all honesty, I probably would skip them if I didn't care about my physical capacity, health, and looks. I love playing with dogs, petting dogs, learning their names, watching them be dogs. In a way, I take care of my body and finances in order to live longer in a state where I get to play with dogs. All my maintenance activities are aimed at dogs, and yet I don't hang out with dogs that much. What I actually do with my time is read books, listen to podcasts, watch movies and TV series, science videos, write articles, record podcasts, manage my money, and advise other people about their money. I have great momentum in the morning. I get up, get out, work out, have a cold shower and some coffee. But then I often waste my energetic state on kind of drifting between semi-hedonistic activities, such as listening to a podcast or book while walking outside, or writing an article about some topic that was triggered during my workout. Writing for whom and why? For appreciation, for thinking I somehow help make other people's lives better. I accept meetings, interviews, lunch appointments, board assignments, and so on to avoid said drifting, but those are also a kind of drifting, since they make it harder to focus on just one substantial and meaningful pursuit. I know quite a few things I don't care about. Conspicuous consumption and status, for example. I'm not interested in Italian sports cars, Swiss watches, yachts, and so on. Not anymore. But I do admit there was a time I let myself be fooled by society. I simply enjoy hanging out with my friends while eating and drinking, preferably not too many at a time, so no large parties with loud music. A garden barbecue with access to a sauna and somewhere to take a bath is enough. Not just enough. It's perfect. I owe my time as an analyst and hedge fund manager between 1994 and 2015, with Wolf of Wall Street-like parties, dinners, travels, and so on, as well as some attention-seeking shopping between 2005 and 2009 for now knowing what I don't care for. It was fun for a while, and I'm glad I got lured into it. But now I just want to have meaningful meetings and learn and experience new things. A really good conversation, or a book or a movie, experiences that awes me, makes me laugh or cry, are what drive me. My whys have led me along a path of getting good grades at school, being fit, healthy, financially independent, escaping office hours, sleeping as much as I want, blogging, podcasting, partying and traveling, and eventually to mainly trying to understand existence and hang out with my friends, occasionally getting hammered together. Perhaps this is self-evident to you. Maybe everyone actually knows why they make resolutions about exercising more, eating better, reading more, getting up earlier, and so on. Living a longer, healthier life is an objective that doesn't need explaining. Life wants to live. Period. Same thing with status, career, income, and wealth. Money is power and freedom, and health and longevity. Let's focus on the money first, and the fun is just around the corner. I, however, don't think so. I think it's easy to get lost in the game and waste much of life climbing some kind of hierarchy, missing the point altogether. Again, I don't profess to know what the point is, and I too am climbing, aiming for more knowledge, insight, and perspective. I can't say if day trading, gaming, doom scrolling, reading books, or meditating is a better or more durable and robust source of meaning and happiness, but I think it's worth it to occasionally ask oneself what the ultimate objective of an activity is. Why work more hours to buy a new car? Why go to Thailand with the family? Why diet? Why go jogging when you hate it? Why get a bigger house? Why buy a vacation house? Why meditate if you hate it? Why focus on your physical health if you hate doing it? Alternatively, you could just go with the flow and just do whatever everybody else is doing. Play the game and play it well, rather than be a loner and a weirdo. Just doing, actually, is a good strategy. It keeps one occupied so one can't think too much about meaning. Cows are content with grazing, aren't they? One problem I see with doom scrolling or unthinking herd behavior is the risk of waking up when it's too late. Waking up and having regrets, considering one's life wasted. Except for that risk, I think all activities that are long-term enjoyable are equally meaningful. I still recommend you explore your own pile of turtles. You just might discover you can work much less and play much more. Don't forget to check out theinvestingcourse.com. Solving for good and cheap food is a trillion-dollar business question. We all know insects are just as tasty and nutritious as seafood, thanks to their harsh evolutionary environment, fostering the development of efficient micronutrients such as omega-3 fats, iron, and other minerals. They are also way easier to raise than land animals, fowl, or fish, both physically and psychologically. Insects are often attracted to places and things that higher-order species are disgusted by. Kraft Heinz and others find it too early to do more than add insects to pet food, despite 1 billion people enjoying insects in developing nations. The path forward might lie in making insect food cool, hip, exotic, esoteric, sigma. What the flip? What the praying mantis? I happened to invest in a private upstart insect flower company 10 years ago. It sadly went belly up after years of fighting for survival, about 2 years before the Swedish Food and Drug Administration allowed insects to be marketed as human food. Before that, they invoked a ban based on Swedish culture and customs, despite insects and things like crabs and crayfish being accepted as food in parts of Europe and as a staple item in Asia and Africa. I'm not saying you have to eat insects and stop eating steak and salmon. I'm just saying that there is a potentially huge and profitable market for super nutritious food made wholly or partly from insects. The molecules that keep insects alive in fierce environments and competition are also valuable for the human body, and the taste is like most other food, rich and deep with nutty flavors and umami. Adding a little in baked products, or as a protein, vitamin, or mineral supplement, is cost-effective, tasty, healthy, and environmentally smart. Some will even have an active drive to buy insect-only bread, nuggets, or burgers. There is no must here. I'm just wondering who is audacious enough to create the next big foodstuffs company or dinner chain, the next ingredient, or McDonald's. Not as a goody two-shoes save the world initiative, but to rake in the gigabucks while inadvertently making a lot of people healthier and wealthier. And consequently, leaving plenty of room for juicy steaks too. I wonder who will be the one to make insects great again. Musk and Branson have well-established track records of revitalizing old boring industries. Food might just be the next big thing, just like real jungle pharmaceuticals are starting to show their potential in 60-plus listed psychedelics companies. Virgin made music, soda, and travel sexy again. Elon put the Musk in cars, space, tunnels, news, politics, and whatnot. It's about time somebody took food and medicine by the throat and made some noise. There are trillions of good reasons to do so. Don't forget to check out theinvestingcourse.com. This is Karl-Mikael Seedings AI signing off. See you again in a few days.